Wednesday. It's our third day of 5 for 5, and I have so appreciated all of you being on here and giving me a shout out and little messages, and it's been fun hearing your feedback. So thank you for being part of 5 for 5. Today I welcome you to the game room / music room. It is named that for obvious reasons. There are games, air hockey, pool table, board games. There's music, decorations, so that's why it's called the game room, the music room. Now, the music decorations include like my grandparents' radio down there, lots of albums, record albums, all over on all the walls. And many of the record albums are from recent. My nephew, for instance, has the Imagine Dragons, and then there are a few from my childhood. We'll talk about those in a minute. Some from my parents, my mom's favorite down there, the Bee Gees. My dad's over there, Ray Charles, the Mamas and the Papas, the Righteous Brothers, those kinds of people, Johnny Rivers. Then you have my childhood, my very first concert, David Cassidy. Does anybody remember David Cassidy? I was 9 years old, and my mom took my cousin and I to Freedom Hall in Louisville for the David Cassidy concert. And of course, you know, we were just screaming girls, like screaming girls did for David Cassidy back then. I watch the Partridge Family now and have to laugh, but hey, it was what you did back then. My second concert was the Bay City Rollers. How about the Bay City Rollers? Anybody remember them? But what is so much fun about these old records are the memories that you reflect on when you start reading the songs. You'll go through the albums and read some of the songs and you'll think, oh, I've never heard of that, or I don't remember that. But the ones you do remember, you think, oh my gosh, and it takes you back to that time. It takes you back to grade school or high school or college, and not only do you remember those times, but then you start reminiscing about those times, you talk about those memories, and so they last for a lifetime just by simply looking at a record album. So today was fitting that we be in here and talk about record albums because today is actually National Vinyl Record Day. How about that? National Vinyl Record Day. And on top of that, the entire week is recognized as Elvis Week. So where else would we be on National Vinyl Record Day in the middle of Elvis Week than right here, surrounded by vinyl records and Elvis? And so how fitting to say, let's think back to the music we've listened to throughout our lives and how that music brought memories back to us from years gone by. Some of these albums are 50 and 60 years old, and yet we're still talking about them, and we're still talking about the memories that those songs created for many of us. And I'm thinking that we might not have a record album, but aren't we making memories every single day? For instance, if you work, every single day you have opportunities to make memories for you and the people you work with. If you're married, every single day you have the opportunity to make memories for you and your spouse. Friends, hang out with friends, you're always making memories. Have children, grandkids, nieces, nephews. Those are all opportunities to create memories that should last as long as these record albums. Now, we may not have a record album in our name, but those memories could go on an album just like this. Oh, and look, this one opens. How about that? Now, you know that was hanging in my bedroom one day. As we think about these records and we look at the songs that are listed in here, do you recall that on side one of these records was basically the greatest of that record, right? All the things you really wanted to listen to were on side one, side A. Side B might have had like the first one was a hit, The rest of them are kind of the new ones, or songs you didn't know, or songs that you didn't like. And so if you were like me, you stayed on side A for a long time. Or always, because you didn't want to go to side B and listen to things you didn't like. So on your record album, when people are going to be sitting around looking at your record album 50 or 60 years from now, there will be two sides, basically, that they could focus on. And so one side could include, songs that would be called things like this. Always had time for me. Loving and kind to everyone. Believed in everything I did. Was so giving and so helpful to all people. Always present and in the moment. Taught me lots of great things. That could be one side of your record album. But if you flipped it over, the other side could say things like this. Always on the phone. Grumpy and grouchy. Too tired for me. Self-absorbed. Didn't really impact my life. That's kind of scary, isn't it? Well, our lives and our memories are far more important than these record albums. So you can bet somebody's going to be looking at your album someday. And what we want to do is create so many great memories that side A will be filled with all of those great things that said, always had time for me, loving and kind to everyone, giving and helpful, always present and in the moment, taught me great, great things. That's the side we want them to focus on. We don't want them to go to side B and say things like we were always on our phone and too tired and too busy and too grouchy for them. So here's the deal. Let's get busy creating all those great memories for our coworkers, our spouses, our friends, our children, our grandchildren, our nieces, and our nephews. And let's create a side A that people will stay on forever and they will never flip to side B. Or better yet, let's create so many great memories for side A that it just carries over to side B. And that's all you see is the great, great memories that you have created. Have an exceptional evening, and I'll see you tomorrow